Welcome to Amplifyre's interview series. My name is Christian, and joining me today is the co-founder and CTO at Resolute Software, Veli. Veli, welcome to the series. How are you today?
Hello, Christian. I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I'm looking forward to today's conversation because we're talking about, what are some common challenges that customers have today, especially about the specific pain points that they are facing and how software development teams should approach these.
Yes, customers typically come to us for what we call software modernization projects. These are about rewriting or augmenting legacy business applications or typical B2C, B2B digital products that have been in production for many years. Typically, those are some high impact mission critical systems that require extra care. They're super important for the business and really they don't want anybody not knowing what they do mess around with them. So we have customers in, for example, healthcare and public safety, also finance, that require some additional security-centric system architecture. They require special development and deployment practices, so we cater to those customers and those industries best. We often do re-platforming, for example, from desktop to web and mobile, or on-premise to cloud deployments. Very often as well, we do hybrid deployments. This is a mix of on-premise infrastructure plus cloud technology, whether this is about hosting, data caching, system integration, or low latency and high availability setups. We're experts in those. Some of the pain points that you ask about, clients often struggle to navigate the modern technology landscape. They are overwhelmed by choice and cannot easily pick the right technology and development approach. So they need to find the right engineering talent for modern system design that is also suitable for their business needs. Our team helps them navigate this technology landscape and navigate really the complexities of building modern software with all the intricacies of choosing the right framework, building the right architecture, incorporating the right mix of technologies and infrastructure for a proper, highly available, resilient, future-proof system.
And you mentioned it at the end of your answer here. Maybe we should talk a little bit more about it. In terms of methodologies, what approaches have been found to be the most effective in addressing these challenges? And, are there any particular frameworks or strategies that teams should rely on?
Yes, over the years, we have been focusing on this holistic look on the client's digital portfolio, infrastructure, and technical skill. So it's not just a single point technology or point product that we take into consideration, but we also take it in the scope of the entire customer capability in terms of software assets, development skill, and all kinds of infrastructure that have been deployed throughout the years or the longevity of the legacy system that we're analyzing. We very often end up doing a lot of technology research and comparison, where we end up with a recommendation that is tailored to the specific business requirements of the clients that we work with, and not just a typical hammer and nail approach that engineering teams often employ. In this process, one thing that we take a look at deeply is tiered modernization, or if you have an N-tier application where you have typical layers of your system from database all the way to business logic and presentation layer, we like to take a specific approach for each layer of this system. For example, the data storage and persistent layer, that is typically preserved and reused. So our engineering efforts go towards the preservation and the maximum reuse of any legacy data that has been in play for many years on clients' premises. The data access layer, that's an area that is often migrated, let's say, to a modern object relational mapping technology, and maybe it also needs to be fully compatible with the existing data. The business logic layer, on the other hand, is an area that we preserve and reuse as well, but we could allow some little modification there, of course, without any semantic changes, so that we can prevent any disruption to the business that is still operating as we do the modernization. And then finally, the UI layer, for example, that's an area that is mostly about redesigning, replatforming, reimagining the interface for the modern interaction patterns that our users have come to expect and be used to. These include, for example, touch and voice, and maybe multiple form factors that range from desktop, mobile, and now even wearables. So in this picture, the system architecture that we produce focuses on code reuse, but also simplicity and maintainability. We try to maximize the lifetime value of the software investment that our clients make. So we think about the longevity of the software solution that we're building. How is it going to stand the test of time? How is it going to behave, let's say, 3 years from now, or even 13 years from now, where the technology landscape will be much different, and even the available talent will probably be much more diverse than, or much more different than the one we see today. So some of the long-term efficiencies that we are looking to establish here early on include also the operational efficiency, the infrastructure cost that we analyze and we optimize, for example, caters to picking the right set of technologies today for an optimal operation down the road. For example, we pick the most efficient cloud services or infrastructure components among multiple choices that the modern cloud space currently provides. And we often do what we call a gap analysis between the different cloud components or cloud infrastructure capabilities so that the solution adopts the one that works best for its needs and for the business's needs. In this picture, we try to minimize breaking change, which means that we focus on extensive regression testing. We help establish automated testing and deployment procedures. We often do continuous integration and continuous delivery practices early on in the modernization effort, or even in greenfield projects. Some of our customers come to us specifically for CI/CD practices in the hopes of really creating a more rapid, more resilient build and deployment process on their end that minimizes the risk of deploying new systems of the software to users. So in summary, we solve, I would say, the tough technological challenges where others give up. For example, in the healthcare space, I can mention a customer that had a deep technical roadblock that their engineering team, also comprised of architects and senior developers, could not overcome. So they reached out to Resolute, and we took up the challenge. At the end of a 4-month intensive R&D effort, we created a solution that was later on adopted into production. And we're talking about a large-scale patient management record system that is deployed in hospitals and in other healthcare venues. So it's just one example of the type of help that our teams can provide businesses where efficiency, where skill set matters, and where typically others are not able to help a lot.
No, it's super interesting, especially working in an industry like healthcare. You got to be really kind of spot on when transferring, because you're talking about patients' records and things like this. So I can imagine how much work goes into things like that. I think we should talk, when it comes to modernization, there's so much that goes into it. But what do you think are some aspects that are often overlooked? We're interested in hearing about emerging trends or technologies that teams should pay attention to, as well as any other insights you may have.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that we have seen is often overlooked in the modern software application industry is that the user expectation bar is higher than ever, and it keeps rising. The modern user has a lower than ever tolerance for clunky, sluggish, and time-wasting applications. So what is often overlooked here is this notion of tailoring the user experience for the new age of user interaction, where instead, applications continue to provide the same old-school look and feel and do not keep up with the modern user who now has all those consumer-grade application experiences like social media and entertainment, and who now demand the same high-end experiences from the business applications that they use professionally. So with a top-notch digital design team, Resolute provides user experience analysis and industry best practice application design, as well as user journey optimization, or the idea that we can identify the user expectations and understand user habits and tailor the visual design for intuitive and efficient interaction. This all makes the user immediately productive. And when you think about it, this is the focus of the modern business application, to make the user as productive as they can, to get through their task as quickly as possible, and ultimately making themselves and the business more efficient.
Really interesting stuff that you guys are doing at Resolute, and I'm sure this conversation will be continued after our viewers watch this clip. So if people are interested in finding out more about Resolute software, where can they go?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, it's resolutesoftware.com, or just Google Resolute Software. They can also find us on social media like LinkedIn and Facebook.
Brilliant. So go check out Resolute software. The links are in the description. Veli, I just want to say thanks so much for joining today's interview. It's been super insightful.
It was a pleasure for me, Christian. Thank you very much.